crash front straightaway. Huge crash coming into the triangle. No, Rocky up and into the air.
They're beating and banging. Burn on the bottom. Cosman up top.
Kaufman, I think. No, Breyer by 1/1000th of a second. Joseph, no! At the line, Thunhorse pulls the win out at the stripe.
Oh, he saves it. What's going to happen here?
Here comes the canvas. Get your foot in. He got it. He's got it. He's got it. Canvas is going to win.
Tonight, the chase for the WINSTEL Cup makes its way to Kansas Speedway for race 3 of the fall to determine the champion for the WINSTEL Gen 4 Challenge here on FDF.GG. Welcome once more to Kansas City for tonight's action. Hello, my name's Justin Pritz. Alongside of the booth tonight is Derek Watson, along with our producer Zach Johnson, as we get ready to go racing at Kansas Speedway, the mile-and-a-half facility in the heart of Kansas City, Kansas. Derek, last week brought some twists to the championship standings, but today brings some familiarity with the mile-and-a-half circuit.
That's right, JP. Lots of twists. In fact, numerous of them throughout Watkins Glen happened, and it did bring some changes to the point standings with Zach Campbell performing strong last week. So we'll take a moment and then we'll look and see what those point changes are. But tonight, once again, back to the mile-and-a-half, and I'm excited to see who stands out here.
Currently, drivers making the way to the starting grid, but let's take a look at how they will start first entering tonight's action. Starting things off, Dylan Alt is on the pole tonight. Zach Campbell, Christian Budd, Ryan Doucette amongst your top 4 starters. Keep an eye on 2nd through 4th for the chase for the WINSTEL Cup. Nick Doucette coming off a strong performance a couple weeks ago as Jose Solis Jr. alongside him in row 3, Derek.
Right, looking back at row 4, you have Gabriel Mauricio, and then starting next to Dylan Roberts, Anthony Troback and Sean Peleg in row 5, and in row 6, Emily Howe and Brennan McGee.
Keep battling the weather entering today. We'll talk about that in a bit. Thomas Lewandowski and Christina Ryan, 13th and 14th. Philip Snipes in the 15th spot in row 8 alongside Timothy Latham. Auxiliary starts in 17th. The last driver recorded time, James Holzer, the first via provisionals, 18th.
Let's look through the rest of the field. You have Alex Kolonix and Alex Russell, the row of Alex's in row 10. And then going on back, Parker Alexander, Matt Skipper, and others will round out the 13 rows of drivers in tonight's race.
That's a look top to bottom at tonight's running order here once more for the WINSTEL Cup here at Kansas. As these drivers get themselves all set to go, let's take a quick glance, if we can, at the championship standings entering tonight. Zach Campbell doing Zach Campbell things. Entering tonight has a 15-point advantage over Jose Solis Jr. Nicholas Doucette, 24 points back, dropped a spot. Christian Budd dropped 3 spots of note to 6th in the standings, 71 points back. And Brandon McKissick made a start last week to move up 2 spots. He's up to the top 8. Lots to talk about tonight, but these drivers are already set to go racing. 50 laps up on the board from Kansas Speedway. We're glad to have you with us here for the chase for the WINSTEL Cup. The green flag is out. We're underway from Kansas City. Zach Campbell already jumping up to the race lead on the outside. His first race at this track since 2018. He leads his first lap of the day over Alt, Ryan Doucette, Christian Budd, Nick Doucette, amongst those fighting for second on back in the 2x2. In multi-group racing, the name of the game when it comes to Kansas. Lots of drivers sometimes like the top, Derek. Many prefer the bottom early.
Yeah, many prefer the bottom early, Justin, but what you're going to find out as we're going to ride on board here is if you're riding that bottom, you're not going to save tires as well as the guys on top. So you really have to figure out what your race strategy is if you believe there's going to be cautions to change those tires. But if you ride that bottom, you're going to burn off those tires and you will not ride down there very long.
See, Philip Snipes had a slow up because he cut through the grass, had contact with Brendan McGee out of turn 4. The 99 machine still able to keep going, though, is running 23rd position. There is McGee for reference, who is up to 15th spot. We mentioned the storms he's dealing with. He is based out of Canada, but is currently dealing with hurricanes. Had some power outages entering this weekend.
It's always tough when the real life aspects can get involved in sim racing, Justin. It can affect your confidence in what you're doing. It can affect your practice time. And it's just something to be on your mind when you're racing. It's not a fun thing to deal with.
And thinking about those all based out of Canada, especially in Atlantic Canada, also potentially those in Florida over the next few days. Looking at the battle you see shaping up for 4th position. Solis Jr. already up to 5th. It's worth noting Dylan Alt has dropped 5 spots in 5 laps. The one car has fallen off a cliff early going here.
You know, we'll keep an eye on it, Justin. It could not necessarily be a strategy is the wrong word, but he might just be conservative. He might think there's a good chance this stays green, and then maybe he surprises us later when he comes back through the field.
Absolutely. We've seen it happen before. But the tough thing right now, he's 0.4 per lap off the pace of the race leaders. That time by about 0.2 back, in fact. He's so far the driver who's lost the most spots outside of Snipes throughout the field. Speaking of those starting to move their way to the field, how about some Napa know-how for Emily Howe? Howe up 3 positions, one of the non-playoff drivers. In fact, one of the higher up non-playoff drivers so far today.
Yeah, this is a good run. Watch that line there. You'll see this. Emily's definitely preferring the top line and is definitely having fun up there and running down the competition.
It's not easy to run the wall, though, Derek, of course, here. It's very easy to pancake the car, right?
Oh my gosh, it's so easy to pancake the wall. One of the hardest skills in racing is feeling comfortable riding, not riding the wall, but riding against the wall and leaving space. You'll see a lot of drivers who leave a lot of space against the wall, and it's just because they're not comfortable getting that close as Dylan Altness did. Ooh, that was close.
Sparked up a little bit of paint, checking things up. These cars 2 seconds back of the race leader currently. Dylan Roberts also running the high side in the midst of this pack as well. He had some good discussions throughout the week with some of the drivers. I believe Dylan Roberts amongst those you spoke with that had some decent expectations tonight, of course.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely had a chance to sit down and talk with some of the drivers and kind of see how they were feeling about tonight's race. I did get a chance to talk to Dylan Roberts, and he said he's hoping for a good race. Was not sure about his pace, but a top 5 to a top 10 is the minimum he's expecting of his performance tonight.
Major expectation, of course, to be able to keep up with the championship. Speaking of trying to keep things up, Nicholas Doucette, the only driver on the high side in the top 5. Solis Jr. attacking the 24 in turn. Nicholas Doucette not allowing the run back, though, using that outside line as a ramp down the straightaways.
Yeah, and you know, Justin, there's someone who might have been off track. You see him coming back up here. That's the 18 Interstate Batteries car right there. That's Anthony. Sorry about that. Something I think is going to change throughout this race as well, Justin, if we stay green, how much those drivers are willing to use that flat surface under the start-finish line. As this race goes on and those tires start to slick up a little bit, I think we'll see less use of that banking down, or that lack of banking down there.
Seen it a lot in official racing with other types of cars. Seen it a fair bit already here tonight. Roberts trying the bottom. Trying to pass Sean Pellig as well as Emily Howe. Howe getting a bit loose up top, lower down. Squeezes the 48. Dylan Roberts also forced to back it down a little bit. Roberts forced to reset the attack for the bottom. Just see how loose these cars are getting. This is a trait when it comes to WINSTEL setups. They always tend to go to the loose side, meaning you better know how to preserve that right rear.
Yeah, JP, you know, the mantra across racing is looser is faster, and it's a true statement, but you'll have a number of drivers who don't like that idea. They'd rather have the slightly tighter, comfortable setup that they're not worried about losing in every corner. But yeah, looser is faster is what a lot of drivers believe in.
James Holzer of note you see cutting through the pack. We mentioned no qualifying time tonight for the 09 machine. Holzer up 9 positions so far. And keep in mind, when it comes to Holzer, he needs a strong run. He did not have a good time on the road course last time.
No, he definitely didn't have a good time. I mean, you can almost say not a lot of drivers did, minus Zach Campbell, but he definitely needs a good run to make sure his chase hopes stay alive.
Keeping up with the fellow chase contender in Roberts right now, who's using that bottom groove. Behind them, John Pellig. Looking to work around the 55 does. Emily Howe on the extreme loose side. Keep in mind, the first pit window is quickly approaching with the fuel limit in the series 37%.
And right now, what's going to be key to find out, JP, and we're going to learn really soon, is who practiced green flag pit stops. Because in a track like this, getting on and off pit road correctly could mean a difference in where you finish tonight.
Of note, Matt Skipper has come down to the pit lane, was running second to last. So we're down to 25 cars running, approaching that sequence. Timothy Latham clears on by the 55. Out trying not to slow down the tempo, though, in the midst of things. Battle's picking up for second. Christian Budd trying to attack Ryan Doucette. Doucette has signaled he wants to pit this time. Here comes Dylan Alt back on the prowl. Alt was 0.3 quicker last time, and now they crash. Ryan Doucette gets hit by Christian Budd, and despite the pit signal, he still gets hit from behind for the caution.
That is incredibly frustrating if you're the driver who's calling pitting. You did everything correct and you're still getting run over. That is unique, I think is a word I'll use at the moment.
Christian Budd immediately taking responsibility, as there was a call to pit the previous back straightaway. And as you can see, the drivers behind him didn't take note of that. Not significant damage, but this is what happens when you hit the brakes at 170 miles an hour behind them.
This is what happens when someone misses a memo. That's how it feels right there. That's the speed difference. I mean, as you said, good news for the 7 and for Dylan Alt in the 1 is there's no significant damage here, but pit stops are starting, and some people lucked out.
So that means no green flag cycle for the first window. Still one more window expected today. As they dive through the pit boxes. 2 tires, remember, a possibility we've seen in the series. Campbell too far back in the stall, forced to pull up. We'll see who rolls the strategy dice. Philip Snipes misses his pit box. The rest of the field taking the tires. 2 tires already for Alexander Russell. Most of the field taking 4 tires. Dylan Alt wins the race off the pit lane over Solis Jr., Nicholas Doucette, and Zach Campbell.
JP, as a driver, I'd be scared to take 2 tires. It's already loose. I'm concerned about the driver who did take 2 tires.
So pit stops complete for the first time under caution. We'll take a break. More coverage coming up for the WINSTEL Gen 4 Challenge after this. Welcome back to the chase for the WINSTEL Cup from Kansas Speedway. As we get all set to get things back underway, approaching 31 laps to go here on FDF.GG. Justin Brents, Derek Watson with you, Zach Johnson, our producer, as Dylan Alt leads the pack over Jose Solis Jr., Nicholas Doucette, Zach Campbell, Gabriel Mauricio, and James Holzer. The top 6, only one driver on 2 tires of note inside the top 16. Anthony Krobach, who had one slide to the grass, also took 2 tires, but is in the 18th position. All set to get back underway. Alt, remember, trying to charge forward through the pack in the late stages of that first run. Likes to go early. Green flag is out, back underway. And race control is getting Dylan Alt's attention on that start. They must go on green in the sim, Derek. That is a penalty for the 1.
Yeah, and being a chase driver, that's going to be an awful penalty right now. That's going to be, it looks like a drive-through, but that's going to be horrible as far as him serving. That's probably going to put him down a lap, if not more, depending upon how quickly he gets down here and serves it.
So Dylan Alt coming down to the commitment cone. Having to serve the penalty is now out of contention. Jose Solis Jr. battles it out with Zach Campbell now. The top 5, in fact the top 6, now all chase drivers. So work down the back straightaway, 30 laps to go this time. Solis Jr. trying the second line, drifting out the right end. Zach Campbell not able to get to the inside yet.
So just want to give you the viewers at home an idea here, JP, off camera. The leaders are past the start-finish line. Dylan Alt not even back up on the track yet, and the pack's coming up on him quickly. He will lose a lap from this penalty here.
As a matter of fact, Alt coming up right in front of the leaders just this moment by 12 car lengths. The top 3 settling themselves in as a result of that mistake. Nicholas Doucette trying to use the banking as a ramp to close into the 19 to fight for second spot now.
Well, JP, in a league that's known for its clean racing and lack of cautions, no one's hoping more for a caution right now than Dylan Alt. But I want to come back to a point we made right before a break. These guys who took 2 tires, I want to take note of that because I'm willing to bet in 5 to 10 laps here, they might be having a hard time with this race car.
Worth noting, Alexander Russell, who is the first on 2 tires, 22nd spot right now. For second spot, Doucette outside on Campbell. Tries to squeeze down for the clear, does. And New Race leads still, distance by about 0.23 seconds.
Touching that one more time, Justin, from a different perspective. As much as I'm curious, and maybe you're curious about the 2-tire move and how it will pay out, you know who's more curious? Everyone ahead of them. Everyone who has to pit again wants to know if that 2-tire thing is going to work out.
That might be something we have to keep an eye for, absolutely, in the late stages of this race. Meanwhile, Emily Howe trying to attack the chase drivers. Howe, the highest running non-chase competitor, still keeping up with the back end of the red number 8 machine.
Look at the fun that Emily's having there. Just having a great time here at Kansas, running that bottom line, chasing them down. That's good to see.
Plenty of smiles indeed in the midst of that fight. Christina Ryan of note is also up to the 6th spot, the second highest running of the non-chase competitors, and is closing a bit into this battle as well. +6 for the 98. And into the wall.
That comes back to a point you made earlier, Justin, about being scared to run next to the wall, because that's easy to do here. The good news is that unlike other tracks, you're able to kind of bounce off the wall here. It doesn't want to hug you and hold you in, but it's frustrating when you do that. It makes you nervous about getting up there again on the next lap, probably.
Still looking to settle one in the 98. currently about 3 seconds behind the race leader on the racetrack as they run, and is the buffer car between packs 1 and 2. Still up at the front. Doucette now switching to the bottom to try and sort things out. Solis Jr. not using the white line, though, through the corners. He continues in 3 and 4 to use that second line.
Yeah, you know, I spoke a little premature, Justin, when I said that Alt was going to get lapped. He actually is staying ahead of these guys, and in some ways, the best thing happening for him is all this battling, because it's keeping them off the pace, off the drafting, and letting him stay just at the tail end of the lead lap.
Good spot right now as Campbell gets himself back up to second. Able to take advantage of a bad corner exit from Doucette. 22 laps to go, just past the halfway mark in the race. Don't look now, but one of the fastest cars on the track is also closing in. James Holzer could make this a 4-car battle. You see that black 09 machine closing in. And Holzer's worked his way from the back to the front, Derek, to do this.
He has worked his way from the back to the front. It's someone that unfortunately I didn't get any time to talk with this week. But obviously his confidence is high and he feels good in that car. And as being a chase driver, every point matters, and is looking to make sure that he puts himself in a better spot as we move forward in this schedule.
Right now, one of the viewpoints in his fixture, not just the fact he's right up to Nicholas Doucette. Campbell is right to the inside of Solis Jr. now in 3 and 4. Campbell wants the lead back. Solis Jr. up to the third line. Both of them slide it up. Solis Jr. holding on to the outside. 20 laps to go. An air lunge from Campbell back to the inside. Solis Jr. just providing that pinch, Derek.
Yeah, just a small bit of pinch, just trying to make sure that he does it correctly, but doesn't put himself in a dangerous spot at the same time. Solis is an experienced iRacer. He's been all across the platform and eNASCAR and whatnot, so he knows what he's doing. And oh, look at how close they get there. Ooh, that's what makes him, a professional and better than others, is how comfortable he is making close moves like that.
Keep in mind, Holzer has cleared Nicholas Doucette as seen last time by. It's now within half a second of these drivers. Pit stops underway. Russell's 2-tire gamble did not work out in any way, shape, or form. He was the last car running outside of Alt on the racetrack prior to the stop.
Yeah, it's a good experiment, something sometimes you have to try if you need to make up points, you know, especially if maybe you're a chase driver. Here comes Emily Howe down pit road. Emily took 4 tires last time, I believe. So, kind of surprised to see Emily already on pit road.
Pit window was open, though, to try and make it to the end. Howe going for the undercut. How will this play out for the 55 is the major question. No signals yet for the race leaders. Now Campbell tries to get back to the inside of Solis Jr. And wrapping the bottom. A little bit more steam built up by Campbell this time as Holzer watches for the outer groove.
And you can see in the ticker on the top of the screen, our chase drivers are performing strong. Our top 6 drivers currently are all in the chase, and we got there's one in 9th and a couple more back there. So everyone's racing hard here. We'll see what happens in the pit stops, but I wonder if anyone's going to try to push this to the very end and maybe just do a gas-only stop here.
That would be a major gamble as pit stop time. Campbell coming in. Holzer elects to fall in, leaving the 11 to his own. Huge send to the commitment cone from Mauricio as well. Able to stay below the speed limit as Dylan Roberts also joins in the party.
He was close in the speed limit there. Must have been the 31 there in that Singular Wireless car. The smoke off the back tires means they had to get on the brakes super hard right at the line.
Some of the top drivers will try and do that while making sure they don't run over the competitors in front of them, of course. But Solis Jr. having a weeble, having a spin, having a tumble into the pit lane. There goes his buffer as Nicholas Doucette closes it.
Say what, JP? There goes his buffer. You're correct. But talk about the skill. How many people in iRacing can't do that? I can't do that. There's many people who would have lost that car, put it on the track, and we'd have had our second caution. That was an amazing save.
We stayed green for the time being, yes. Look at the back straightaway, though. That's Sean Pellick, who is currently the race leader, Derek.
There's Pellick here in the 48, so they're now slowing up, and they're going to come down pit road, giving us a new leader once again as we cycle on through.
Pellick bringing in Colin McGee Alexander this time. At the end of the pit lane, Nicholas Doucette had a lengthier stop, lost a lot of ground to Ryan Doucette and Solis Jr., so the 24 lost tons of ground in the pit box in of itself. Henrique is the only driver, along with Dylan Alt, yet to pit. The net leader currently by about 2 or 3 seconds is James Holzer with a 1-lap undercut.
And I'm curious to see how long that he's going to let that be the case, or how long before he comes in and pits, in other words. To wait and see what happens here.
Solis Jr. has currently cycled second, Christian McCurley third. Repas currently trying to keep things safe, leads a lap for the first time tonight. And the 89 is surviving with a clean run, in the words of Morgan Shepherd, and in the paint scheme of the 89.
Strategy. Sometimes you think as a racer you have to make bold moves to see if you can find your way towards the top of the list here. You know, for Alt, obviously it's a necessity, trying to wait for that caution. I suspect Alt will wait as long as humanly possible before pitting, just in case something happens and a caution comes out. They can keep themselves on the lead lap.
For reference, Repez has a 10-second cushion over Dylan Alt. Alt has 2 laps more of fuel. Check that, had the pass-through, so about the same time of fuel, should say. But has a 4-second cushion to James Holzer. Months of the battles building up after the pit stops. Dylan Roberts, Gabriel Mauricio, 7th, 8th. All with Ryan Doucette and Emily Howe, 9th and 10th. Howe, though, on the oldest tires in this respective train.
That's right. We saw Howe pit early. I think it was the second down pit road in this cycle. So slightly older tires. As we're going to see the 24 get to the bottom there, and I thought he was loose, but he grabbed it right before the grass.
Able to hold on to it, though, trying to gain back all the ground lost in the pit box. See that difference on that top line, that ramp down the back straightaway as Howe gets past for 10th.
JP, as we watch the 24 here, let's talk a little bit about what happens here. So obviously, as you noted, had the longer pit stop, has found themselves back in traffic here. And a couple things happen as we're going to watch him run here behind the 7. First off, he's now in traffic. He's not raced that much in traffic. When you're leading, the air is different, the feeling is different. You're not being pushed that hard, maybe. That happens. And you're going to deal with the mental aspect of knowing you messed up, that you made a mistake and it cost you time. Those small things can be a big difference in how the rest of your race goes.
Can be important, too, for the chase in of itself. Remember, every point can matter. This type of format and this type of championship. The battle, meanwhile, for third on track. This is now for overall third, with Repez just coming in. Campbell, fresher tires, passes by Christian Budd, who is recovering from the EOL from the contact with Doucette earlier. Downside, Campbell 3 seconds back of where James Holzer is, Derek.
So now we have, I guess you want to call it a proper, leader cycle. That now that Alt and the others have pitted at the end of the cycle, we're back here to Holzer actually leading this race here with Jose Solis trying to run him down.
Solis Jr., for reference, is about 1.2 seconds back of the 09. Dylan Alt is a lap down, mind you, in the midst of this play for third position. Then it's an air 2 seconds back to a Roberts Mauricio, the Doucette's Pellig, and Thomas Lewandowski currently shuffling about for under 7 laps to go in this race. How will this play out is the question. James Holzer had to work from the back of the pack, the first of those with no qualifying time, in fact, to get up to this race lead. The cushion is 1.1 seconds. Holzer using the bottom, Solis Jr. running the top in the midst of this fight.
So take a look here. I mean, the times are almost identical, so it really shows you that those lines don't equate to a time difference or a speed difference. It's a comfort level and what you're okay with, and that's what matters here. They're almost identical here as they came by last time, and Solis needs to pick up some time here if he wants to close this gap with almost 5 laps to go here.
The tough thing is, you see how much the car is washing up the track. That is scrubbing a lot of speed off the corner. 5 to go. The gap is down to 1 second with that wash up. Is there enough time? Holzer gains about a 10th in of itself just running the bottom of the racetrack.
You hear the one and Dylan Alt just trying to race here and salvage something out of the day. Alt's on a slightly newer tires, Justin. Maybe trying to get a lap back just to have it back, but I don't know. I mean, they're not going to change positions before this race is over, more than likely.
Will this play a factor in James Holzer's race is the question. Alt's been running the bottom, same line as Holzer. Gets to him down the straightaway this time. Alt underneath the race leader, back to the tail end of the lead lap. Holzer forced to try the top. That cost him 3/4 tenths alone, that corner.
Yeah, but Holzer did the right thing in some ways. He let the lap car go. You get nothing out of battling. You know, Alt has newer tires. Just let him go. Maybe suck in a little bit of draft here down the back straight or down the front straight and maintain your lead. You get in a side-by-side battle for a whole lap with Alt, and then you will be in danger of losing this lead.
Coming up down to 2 laps to go this time. Amongst some of the battles with the playoff drivers, the chase drivers, Christian Budd, Gabriel Mauricio inside the top 5, or at least one of them is. Coming to 2 laps to go, Budd is sliding back and fast.
Yeah, Bud was someone else I got a chance to talk to this week, and he just kind of said, I don't know what we got here. You know, he mentioned, I think, that the car gets tight and then loose, and he was kind of concerned about it. So as you see him falling back, that's probably how he thought the night was going to go, unfortunately.
So Christian Budd has fallen back to the 7th position. Essentially could be up for grabs for Ryan Doucette as well. One in the grass coming to the white flag. We stay green. Alexander Russell takes the infield. James Holzer tries to go around clean for one more time on his own.
And at this point, almost 9/10 of a second of a gap back. There's no pressure here. Drive it smooth. There's nothing different. And you're going to come out in just a second and be fine.
James Holzer had to work his way to the pack from 18th starting position. Holzer comes out on top and wins it at Kansas. Solis Jr. and Campbell amongst the top 3, with Nicholas Doucette and Gabriel Mauricio holding on to the top 5. And it's the 09 who comes out on top at Kansas Speedway tonight. First win in a while since Michigan. There has been a massive crash down the back straightaway, by the way. Several cars are going backwards to celebrate, and others are celebrating just to celebrate. Holzer gets to celebrate a race victory, though. A well-deserved night for the 09, Derek.
Very, very well-deserved night. As you said, a dominant run coming from the back of the field on through. Did it on just pure speed and comfort. There was no crazy pit strategy that we saw. So congrats to the 09 here on this race victory.
James Holzer gets to burn it on down. Let's take a look at the unofficial race results. Your top 8 a part of the chase. Holzer, Solis Jr., Campbell, the top 3. Speak for those drivers in just a few moments. With Nicholas Doucette and Gabriel Mauricio, your top 5. Dylan Roberts finished in 6th. Christian Budd, Ryan Doucette amongst the top 8. Sean Powig and Alex Kolinix, the top 10.
And take a look back at 11th at TJ Crampton, Thomas Lewandowski in 12th, Christina Ryan and Timothy Latham, and Emily Howell make up your top 15. Then Parker Alexander, Brennan McGee, Anthony Trobach, Alex Bates, and Philip Snipes round out your top 20, Justin.
Meanwhile, 21st, Lau Xira, quiet 9 in 21st spot. Dylan Alt falls back to 22nd after a start procedure mistake. Then Ken Hoff rounds out the lead lap competitors. Hayden Aripez and Alexander Russell 1 down, and Matt Skipper 30 laps down. Parked it before the first pit stops under caution for the race tonight. So how did that situation we seen towards the back straightaway appear? Appears that there may have been more to it at the line. We'll see what happened. This is Brendan McGee. And as you can see, pinball time seemed to snowball into the backstretch maybe.
I don't think that was pinball time. Who knows? It's the end of the race. They're having fun. I don't think that was pinball time. I think the 9 legitimately lost the car in the last corner, and then it just all chaos broke loose. I'm not sure though.
Well, Alexander Russell was in the wrong place at the right time, I guess, for McGee, as he finished this race backwards. Still lost spots though. And then you have Philip Snipes, who snapped loose to boot just after the line. But the driver who had a comfortable ride for the most part through the field tonight was James Holzer. James, your first win since the summertime, and you do it in the chase. How does it feel to be a winner at Kansas?
Feels phenomenal. We've been on a really tough stretch of not having good runs and throwing stuff away. Had a good run going at Dover, and unfortunately got the tire wall, and with this new ARCA damage model, killed our day. Watkins Glen wrecked in qualifying, so started in the back. So at a track where you're most likely not going to get a caution, it's really tough. And then even came out today and did not have a good qualifying effort and didn't even have the lap count. So we started 18th and minded our business, and we were kind of behind in the points, so figured to go for it and go for 2 tires. I know it's worked in the past. Heard some feedback, people saying it was a lot looser, so I was just trying to manage my rear tires a lot more throughout that first run. And it did work out because I was closing in on the leaders. I'm like, I'm right there. Maybe I could take 4, but 2 ended up being the call, and I think if I would have taken 4, I don't think I would have got it. So made the right call and was able to hold on. It was getting pretty loose there at the end, but was able to hold on just long enough there to park in victory lane.
Yes, indeed. In fact, you and Solis Jr. both chose the 2 tires compared to Zach Campbell's 4, which ended up seeing him nearly 3 seconds back. But how difficult in turn was it to charge for the pack? 18th starting spot, but you still joined the conversation for the race lead right in time for the pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely makes it tough. At least this track is wide, so it really makes the grooves pretty optional, but was really sticking a lot more towards the bottom. If you hit the top 1 and 2 just right, you could get a good run, and I set up a few passes that way, but it wore the tires out a lot more, especially that right rear, which was the important tire, and the left rear, which with me taking 2 tires, I wanted to preserve that one as much as possible as well. So definitely wasn't easy, especially in a field like this with, Coke Series drivers and very, very stout competition, but did what we had to do and parked in victory lane.
On that note, that brings us to the next portion of the schedule, which means Talladega time is on the docket. Your thoughts on going super speedway racing for one final time this season?
Justin, it's not always I might see some more aggressive racing, but once again, it's just going to come down to having that track position at the end and just keeping the car clean, and just going to have to do some strategy here because, like I said, we're kind of behind the points. This is really going to help us out, but still going to need some very solid podium finishes, I think, every week to have a chance at the podium or have a chance at the championship here at the end. But just happy to get the momentum rolling forward going into Talladega.
Thank you very much for the time, James. Congratulations on the victory tonight.
Thanks, Justin.
That's James Holzer, your winner tonight from Kansas Speedway. Next on the docket, Jose Solis Jr. He also took 2 tires. He also came away in second, and it's with Derek.
That's right. It's driver of the 11. Jose, good job tonight. You finished second. Tell us your overall thoughts on the race.
Yeah, so to start the race, I felt like I had a pretty poor qualifying effort. I felt like I could have gone a much better starting position than 6th, so I felt like I was already like I had this disadvantage. But then throughout the first run, I was trying to work my way up to the front, and I got up to around 3rd or 4th there, and then they had the wreck entering the road around me. So then when the next restart, I started second, and then I was just trying to cruise away home and to the first pit stop. And then on that pit stop, and the last pit stop, I had a bad entry to the pits, so I lost a lot of time to James here at the end, so finished second there.
All right, well, he came in tonight second in the points, I believe, behind Zach. You finished a spot ahead of him. So looking forward, what is your outlook on the chase?
I feel like I definitely have a pretty good shot here to try and win the championship, especially since I beat Zach today. But I don't know, it'll definitely be a pretty hard battle to beat him there coming to the end.
Well, some say next week is the last big wild card. It's Talladega. How are you feeling about that race, and what is your strategy moving forward?
Yeah, my strategy for that race is just to avoid the wreck. I'm going to be in the back for most of that race and just try and finish ahead of all the chase cars. Just not even worry about the people who started the chase. Try and finish mostly.
All right, well, once again, good job tonight on the P2, and good job tonight.
That's Jose Solis Jr. coming away in second spot tonight. Zach Campbell came away with a 3rd position tonight. Zach, first run at Kansas since 2018. You come away with the top 3, the first on 4 tires. Talk us through tonight.
Yeah, really wish we went with 2 there. I think I didn't really have the confidence to be able to kind of take 2, and I don't think I would have been able to hang with it. So just conservative, I guess, was the right word to say. Just decided take 4 there just because better to come home with a top 3 than me to stack it trying to get more. So
it was still a phenomenal race night for you. You were up in the front for just about the entire night. Talk us through that battle for the race lead with you and Solis Jr.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, I think in these cars you can really actually, like when it's pretty loose, you can take the air off people's spoilers, and I let him get out there and burn off his stuff and then chased him back down. And, I think that's what makes this car so fun. It's just the fact that you can actually kind of do these things. And even in the short 20-lap fuel runs we have, there's so much that you can do in such a short amount of time. It just makes it a blast.
Well, Talladega is next. Your thoughts and feelings about super speedway racing?
I mean, I think we finished second at Daytona. So I feel like maybe we can luck into another good one here. I think it's anyone's guess. I mean, best thing to do at plate tracks is always to go out there and just try and lead every lap, have a lot of fun before you inevitably get crashed. So, if you don't get crashed, then even better. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's just what we'll do. We'll go out there, we'll have fun, and yeah, we'll do the best we can, but not worry too much about the result there.
See how things fare out for you next time out. Congratulations on the top 3.
Yeah, thank you.
That's Zach Campbell rounding out your top 3 tonight. I'd like to thank him, Jose Solis Jr., James Holzer for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on FTF.GG. Derek, tonight had the one caution, but it's James Holzer who's able to charge through the pack to come away with the victory with a bit of strategy, but outright pace.
Yeah, just, every time we do a race together, I like to come away with a word that I can think about that was the defining word of this race. And for this race, it's strategy. That 2-tire thing really worked out. I know I was skeptical, but the guys up front made it work. And think about the strategy for next week. Your top 2 in the chase already have different strategies for next week's race.
Talladega expected to be a wild one, to be the same least, to say the least is the proper phrasing, because 40 laps at Talladega expected to be wild. Scheduled start time 8 p.m. Eastern. Be able to catch that here on FTF.GG to see how things play out for the final super speedway race of the campaign. But until then, it's time to say goodbye. For my broadcast partner tonight, Derek Watson, for Zach Johnson, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Congratulations to James Holzer, your winner from Kansas City.